the goal would be to get to level 6, use your Avatar of Vengeance, and win. If you don't get to level 6, then your goal is to get to level 5, use Shadow Strike level 3, and kill the Orc heroes. So, what I would recommend on, let's say we're doing it on this map, I would recommend that you creep fast to level 3, because otherwise you're going to get harassed by the Blade Master, and we'll see that in this game, how level 3 is important. In this case, Ancient of War creeping the Merc camp might be a good idea. You could get it by just creeping in a straightforward, more typical creeping pattern. That way, Ogre Trolls, Gnolls, you could creep that. You could creep the Ogre Troll with your Ancient of War if you wanted, followed by Merc camp and expansion spot, or you could move out to the Nightcrawler. No, sorry, what's it? Big Murloc camp. I wish these camps had better names. I call it the Inner Murloc camp, this being the outer one. You could also get a Tome of Experience from this camp, so that's good for level 3. And just going over the various creeping patterns here, I'm not sure that this is the strongest strategy with the Warden, so don't just invest entirely in this. I would put up a fast shop, because you're going to need the Clarity Potions earlier, especially if the Orc decides to harass you with his Blade Master. Now, if he gets a Farseer, you're pretty much set for the game, because the Warden is very effective versus Farseer. Everything I said about the Warden not being good against Orc goes out the window when it comes to Farseer, because the Farseer is weaker than the Archmage, pitiful intelligence hero, and just dies incredibly fast to Shadow Strike. The Orc would be well advised not to get a Farseer against a Warden. There's just really no way to deal with it. Then there's the issue of whether to build an extra Moonwell if you're going solo Warden. It's very nice because it gives you, being that you're low on mana all the time, you're going to be using a lot of Moon Juice to restore your mana whether you like it or not. So you're going to have to have you're going to want an extra Moonwell in order to heal. However, that will delay your tech, and you're going to need a tech. So I'm not sure what to do about that. I mean, my research for this game has not consisted of playing a lot of games with Warden against Orc. I just don't have the time to do that. So I'm sorry, I don't know whether building an extra Moonwell would be good or not. In this game, Hot seems to build quite a few Moonwells. So my guess is that he would agree that it would be a good idea to build an extra Moonwell. Depends on your style, I think, how much you like to use the higher tier units. In the solo Warden strategy, you're depending on getting a good early game with forcing TPs or killing the Blade Master, or by killing a lot of grunts. Either will do. Then later in the game, you can count on the Orc pretty much to get Spirit Walkers, because Link counters your Warden. You need to bring Wisps to detonate the Spirit Link off the units, or you will lose the game. And it's just that simple. So either you can have a huge number of drives to remove the Link, but that's probably not as effective because they can cast more, or you need to bring Wisps and drain their mana. That also helps to compensate for the fact that you don't have a Demon Hunter. Mana Potions, purchase one at your shop, which you did put up, remember. Greater Mana Potion is also good that you can get at the marketplace, so consider, doing that. One thing that you can do with the Warden if you go Blink, and I would highly recommend going Blink rather than Fan of Knives. You don't have the mana to support that. If you have Blink, you can Blink into the back and do what the Blade Master does by creeping the Ogre Magi without being hit by the 2 Ogre Warriors. It's harder for the Warden because the Warden does not do anywhere near as much damage per second as the Blade Master does. In this game, I believe it's this game in which you will see Hot doing an interesting thing, maybe by accident, maybe on purpose, and almost getting the Blade Master killed creeping this camp, which, I mean, obviously anything that almost gets the Blade Master killed is good. So I think it is this game. It may be a different one. Anyway, I'll talk about that when that happens. The only time I would suggest getting Fan of Knives and Shadow Strike is if your item drops are really insane. If you get a Pendant of Energy and, like, I don't even know, 3 Intel Tomes, then maybe Shadow Strike, Fan of Knives, because you will have the mana at that point. Even though Raiders are pretty good to counter Blink, so be prepared for the Orc to focus your heroes in battles. You need an Invuln Pot, you should buy one from the shop. Make sure the Orc doesn't get the Invuln Pot. There will be probably a fight for control of that if the Orc is competent and realizes that Invuln Pots are good against the Warden, and that the Warden needs them to fight against his army. If you get, and you will get, the typical Blade Master items, Claws, from all these camps, Claws, ring of protection, whatever, those items should probably be sold to make room for your potions. I think this strategy is pretty tough to pull off. So, practice it, see if you can do it, and if you can't, whatever. Maybe you should try the other strategy, or just go to Demon Hunter. I'm going to start the replay now, and talk about Hot's strategy, which is Warden Naga, and I think this is a very interesting strategy. Hot uses it more. This is not the only time he used it. I searched for Warden replays. Warden versus Orc, and Hot seems to have done most of them in the pro scene. Anyway, he uses this strategy when he has right-hand spawn on Echo Isles. So, and the interesting thing about Echo Isles right-hand spawn is that it's very easy to AOW creep this Merc camp, and I don't think that Hot would be as willing to, if he had to put his Ancient of War way up here, it would take him just slightly longer to creep the camp, and that could be a pretty big factor with the Blade Master. So, I think he would he's probably making conscious decision when he starts the game. I'm going to use Warden if I'm on the right side. If I'm on the left side, I'll go Demon Hunter. So, that's just one thing to consider. This map is quite asymmetrical. On other maps, Terranistan would probably be the best Warden map in the game right now. So, anyway, Hot producing his Warden. And like I said, he's going to AOW creep the Merc camp, and I'm just going to let you watch how he does this, because this is not an easy camp to creep by any measure. When his Ancient of War is up, he's going to produce an Archer. Now, while he creeps the Merc camp, he's also going to get a Merc, and I think this is an important thing. Now, notice that Lyn is scouting. When you see Orc scouting, you can sort of guess Blade Master. Most Farseer users will not scout because they know they'll just be sending a wolf anyway. So, when Hot sees this peon, he's expecting the Blade Master already. He knows he has to creep in a hurry. So Hot's Warden comes out. He's already started his creeping. He has 2 wisps here because this camp is quite tough. And going for the Geomancer first, he does not want to get his units slowed. That would make them pretty much sitting ducks for the Blade. Anyway, kills the Geomancer, and now goes for the Renegade Wizard. And I don't remember what item he gets. And to be honest, it doesn't matter all that much. He gets a Ring of Protection, probably the worst drop he could have had, but, whatever. That happens. He has also bought the Merc, which is important. Okay, these Mercs are good. The Shadow Priest, don't underestimate the Shadow Priest. Okay, very nice. He was expecting the Blade Master, remember, so he knew it would arrive then. That's my only explanation for why he sort of juked it at that point. Anyway, very nice job for Hot. Anyway, the Blade Master is going to chase your Merc around because it's weak and it costs a lot of gold, but it's still worth getting it. Notice that while Lyn was chasing that Merc, he took a lot of damage on his Blade Master thanks to the Warden. Shadow Strike goes off again, and that Blade Master being low on mana already is going to... he has to salve up. The salve gets broken by the Shadow Strike, but he needs to do that basically just to keep his hero alive, and he's going to be forced to TP in a second. So, Lyn TP's out, and then somehow manages to get like 3 salves cancelled here. It probably doesn't matter, salves are cheap, but yeah. Actually, he kept that salve somehow, I'm not sure. Didn't get cancelled. As I was saying, Shadow Priests are better than Archers. They do more damage, they have the same amount of hit points, but they take less damage from grunts. They cast spells, including heal. They take the same amount of population. It's just awesome. Next, Hot goes to creep out his Expo. This is part of his level 3 creeping pattern. With his Warden, level 2 already, I assume he has taken Blink. He may... let me just check. Yes, he has already taken his skill, so he is going for Blink. You know what, let's just set to Hot's point of view, because why not? You can see what he's selecting. And he's already preparing for his fast Expo. This is the point of this strategy. Now, meanwhile, you can see that the Blade Master is harassing his Wisps. He's bringing his Wisps south. You're not going to be able to prevent the Blade Master from coming to harass your Wisps, really. What you have to do is just handle it well and try and drive the Blade Master off. Make him pay for harassing your Wisps. The Warden is low, you'll notice, but with that Shadow Priest, it has a little bit of extra health, sort of in the bank, and can afford to chase the Blade Master around. This is a very nice block by Hot, especially against a speed-scrolled Blade Master. Almost gets it, but unfortunately lets it away at the last second.